Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Just My Opinion. Guys, we are talking Cobra Kai Season 6, Part 2. And guys, I want to let you know this will contain full spoilers. If you have not seen Cobra Kai, which is streaming on Netflix right now, Season 6, Part 2, and you don't want to be spoiled, I strongly suggest you turn away right now. I'm going to get into all the spoilers. I'm B. Avery. If you're feeling me and all this energy that I'm giving you right now in this review, recap, reaction, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment. Also, hit that share button. Let's go ahead and get into it. Guys, oh my gosh. Is Quan dead? What an ending. Are you serious? I was not expecting that. I really wasn't. And if it wasn't obvious to you already, guys, I'm loving the show. I've been covering it on my channel since the very beginning. I did not do a review or recap of season 6, part 1, but I did of like seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now I'm here for season 6, part 2. But damn, y'all, I was not expecting that. That just like, who is going to stop? Or the fight is stopped now because Quan is dead or perceived to be dead. I mean, this is just like the biggest cluster of the whole show. This is bigger than when Miguel and Robbie was fighting in the school and they fell over the rail and hurt it. I mean, this is insane. And the whole thing was televised. The whole thing was televised. And we have 5 episodes left. How is it going to end? And I really got to give, I'm loving the show. Now, I do have my nitpicks, okay? I do have my nitpicks, and I'm going to try to cover as much as I possibly can. Of course, I do have more positives than I do negatives. But when Gunther was up there just like, hey, y'all, break it up, get off the mat right now or you disqualified. And then that other sensei from overseas came and knocked him out that was disqualified because he had tested positive for enhancement drugs. I was like, whoa. Where is this going? Who is going to stop the fight? I mean, the whole thing just escalated. And I'm saying to myself, everybody involved is a fighter. Everybody involved is a professional to a degree. Now, all the adults, and we're going to talk about the adults fighting because we got a mixture of everybody fighting everything. I was oversaturated with everything that I wanted in it. I mean, I was already satisfied. I was feeling the latter half of part 2, season 6, more than the first half, and I'll talk about that in a second because there's just so much to discuss. But these adults were just really throwing down, but I was just saying to myself, who's going to break it up? The police, the authorities, all these kids that are practically adults and all these senseis can whoop their ass, you know what I'm saying? And so who's going to break it up? Even at the very beginning, where Daniel at the beginning of the fight was like, we gotta stop this. I was saying to myself, okay, who is gonna break this up? But I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna come back to this ending right here. It was great, it was fantastic. But let's jump back to the beginning of part 2 or the end of part 1. How in the world are y'all gonna stop Tori from fighting in the Saikai Taikai when her mom just died? And what made it worse is, thank you, Mrs. LaRusso, this is all your fault because you're the one that got the phone call, but then you told Daniel and he went up there and stopped the fight. In the middle of the fight, it would be different if this was before the fight, a few hours before, even afterwards, or the day before. But Tori is in the middle of the fight. It's 2-2. 2-2 against Sam, and I like Sam. She's one of my favorite characters. And you want to run up there and stop it? I was 100% with Johnny Lawrence. Like, oh my gosh, Daniel's like, Mr. Miyagi wouldn't do this. He wouldn't fight in that way using anger. And Johnny Lawrence like, dude, she's fighting with it. I mean, she's using it. She's using it as fuel. What are you doing? Like, if anything, this is the best. Well, it's not a good scenario when your parents die. But as far as getting through the situation and grieving, fighting for your school, your dojo, for your country, whatever, your set, is a way to fight those demons and get a lot of the frustrations out. And you just took that away from her. I do not blame Tor at all for going back to Cobra Kai. It was still a bad decision, but when a lot of these kids are making bad decisions, but I also have to remember when I'm watching this that these are children, these are kids. They 17, 18, 19 years old. So they're not going to be making the best decisions. They're going to be emotional. They're going to be impulsive, as I was, and pretty much everybody else that's watching this too. So I'm trying to give them some grace, but she went over to Cobra Kai. I don't blame her. And so at the end of part 1, when she showed up at the Saikai Taikai, I was like, oh, hey, you know, I don't blame her. You know, if I was in her shoes, I would possibly do the same thing. I mean, they're really wrong from stopping her from fighting with Miyagi, though. She's with Cobra Kai, and she was doing her thing. She was doing her thing for the most part. I also just love the show as far as the writing is concerned with creating drama. At the end of part 1, which we really didn't get to talk about over here on this channel, they were only able to take 6 fighters to the Sakai to Barcelona, Spain. And so they had a competition. And of course, Devin spiked Kenny's drink. And I like Kenny too. He's another favorite character of mine. Like Sam and Kenny are 2 of my favorites when it comes down to them fighting in the katas and their forms. I don't know, it's just something the way they stick their kicks and their stances that just really stands out, especially in the episode 10 of season 6, part 2. But we'll talk about that in a second. But going back to Devin spiking Kenny's drink, she was wrong for that. And Kenny did not get to go, but Kenny still was able to show up because Miguel had to fly back because his mom Carmen was not going to make it when she was trying to deliver a baby. So they had Johnny Lawrence and Miguel fly back, and then Kenny came and took his place. But Devin was like, oh, I feel bad about this for spiking Kenny's drink. I am getting my butt kicked over here. I'm losing. I'm getting knocked off this balance beam. I don't deserve here to be on the world stage. This is not fair. I need to do something about this. I need to hold myself accountable. And that conversation stemmed from when Eli and Hawk were getting into it in the hallway, to where when he took a photo, a video of Dimitri dancing with another girl and he got mad at him and they were fighting, that's when the accountability came up. And so that was just another way to create drama through the writing, to where, okay, there has to be a competition. All of the best fighters, all of the main characters can't show up to the competition, to show up to the Sakai. So what clever ways can we come up with to create tension, to create stakes, to create drama, like I said. So going all the way back to part 1, and Devin spiking Kenny's drink, like I said, I really did like that. Also, again, Miguel's mother not making it, or we thought that she wasn't, and so Johnny Lawrence and him had to come back. I like that as well too. I'll go ahead and just knock this out the way. Some of the storylines that I do not like are between Dimitri and Hawk, between Dimitri and Eli. I don't know why, but it's just corny to me. I do like the fact that they were able to make up and become friends at the end of this part 2 series. But leading up to that, I was getting a bit annoyed for Dimitri to think that Silva and Kenny were teaming up and he was some double, triple, quadruple agent. Was like, come on, dude. Like, what lengths do you think these people are going to go through to win or sabotage the situation? I mean, I understand having your guard up, but you just took it too far for me, and that was just annoying, okay? I mean, they made it up and all that towards the end, but I was frustrated with your character, like, oh, stop it. And then you going around talking about, well, I'm going to put this behind me because I'm going to MIT, and it's just like, oh my gosh, dude, shut the crap up. You're really getting on my nerves. Now, I really do like Dimitri. I have liked Dimitri throughout this whole show. Maybe not as much at the very, very beginning, like season 1, season 2, or whenever he popped up, because initially he was kind of whining, but he turned over a new leaf, turned into a badass, just like, you know what, I can do great things if I believe in myself. And so even though he is corny, he is dorky, and this whole show is corny, and I'm corny myself. This is one of the corniest shows in television streaming Hollywood history, but I love it and it's great, and they need to keep on making it, and we're going to be talking about what's to come later on at the end of this video too. So, but for the most part, I have liked Dimitri, but he was just kind of getting on my nerves with the whole MIT thing and then throwing Kenny under the bus and all of that. I did agree with him 100% though, when he was charging up Hawk, like, bro, how you just gonna ruin my relationship? Like, I'm over here dancing, having a good time in Barcelona, Spain, and you just gonna pull up your phone and shoot a video? Now, we do know that Hawk did it on accident. He was not trying to record him, but at the same time, it's just funny because Dimitri not gonna believe him. You know, he think he throwing shade or whatever, and I would too. Like, bro, what the F? I'm just having a good time. You act like I smashed a chick. We just dancing. You act like we on top of each other, just grinding and doing all this, and she bending it over, and I'm making it popping. No, we just dancing. We not even touching it. You just gonna just throw hate all over here and be like, hey, look what they doing over here. So I really did agree with him there when they was in the hallway, and it's like, bro, F you, and giving him the finger and all that. But Hawk was tripping, talking about you should, if you're a good person, you shouldn't just do bad things, okay? Some people just don't know how to take accountability. And I'm just like, oh my goodness gracious, this is so silly. This is so silly. But also, since we're talking about Hawk right now, man, this hair is just crazy. But hey, man, if that's the way you want to rock it, that's the way you want to rock. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other people out there that love it. More power to you, my brother. But I was laughing my behind off every time he was fighting and they do the little hawk noise. Yeah, the sound effect, like it just brought joy to my soul. I was smiling ear to ear, especially the last one at the brawl. He was on stage like over somebody. I can't remember if he was on his shoulders or not, but he cocked his hands back. They did the hawk sound effect. He just came there, bow, hit the person on the side of their head. I was laughing. He also did that a couple of times during the fighting too in the Sakai Takai. And I gotta give it to him. That was pretty creative with everything that they came up with as far as pairing all the fighters with each other and, you know, different point systems and just, you know, competition levels and stakes and just, I liked all that. That was cool right there too. But yeah, Dimitri and Hawk, you know, they are interesting characters. But going back at the very beginning of this series or part 2, okay, Tori is now with Cobra Kai. And like I said, I do not blame her. I found it interesting that Quan is also the captain as well. I do like that. At the end of part 1, he beat up Yoon. He beat up everybody on his team and he took the patch and now he is the winner. He is the leader. And I like what Kreese did to bring that to the forefront. Also, the relationship that Kreese has with Kim. I like their back and forth. I like their dynamic. She doesn't necessarily trust him, but she does trust her grandfather, who did give him the green light, the green pass to come over and take the team from Korea and, you know, represent with Cobra Kai. And he has proven himself, okay? She really does need to look up to him and be like, okay, everything that you said you was going to do, you're doing. You brought us to this tournament with Cobra Kai. My grandfather said no initially, but you passed his test, went to the mountain, got the knife, got the dagger, cut the Cobra's head off and brought the snake back and all that. And then you motivated Quan, who is not in line, but now he is in line and he is the captain. Yeah, and we got Tori over here. And so Kim, in my opinion, she just needs to show a little bit of respect to John Kreese. And I'm not saying that she's not, but again, I do like their dynamic there back and forth because she's always questioning him and he's always coming through with the results, okay? And so you can't really argue with somebody that's coming through with the results. They did lose in episode 4, and that was quite interesting as well. I was like, damn. Even before that, when the fight was coming up, I was like, oh, okay. Cobra Kai, the show is called Cobra Kai. They're the main antagonist, the main villain, and we're not going to see them in the finals. This is interesting. I guess we're just going to have to watch Iron Dragons, and we have so much to talk about them as well. But for Cobra Kai to lose in episode 4, I was really shocked by that. I really was. Quan and Robbie were throwing down, and it was a very nice epic fight. I really did enjoy that. That was very, very nice. Great choreography. Very, very intense. But I think it was the Russian team that tried to come in and commit the coup and was disqualified for testing positive for enhancing drugs for at least 4 people, not one, but 4 people. When they were disqualified, then Cobra Kai was brought back into the fold. I was like, wow, okay. I didn't see this coming either. This is really interesting. I like how they're weaving all this in and out with the writing to create drama to give everybody a chance, because I thought that was the height of the show at one point in time. I was like, okay, we're in the semifinals, but we have Cobra Kai versus Miyagi though. This is interesting to me right here, you know, but I do like it. I do like it. So again, I like the writing. I think that's great. All right, let's go back to Tori and Robbie and Tori. I like their relationship. It's mature for the most part, even though sometimes their reactions individually amongst everybody else can be a little bit corny, like, guys, break it up. We don't need to fight. You know, I still like them. There was a misunderstanding, and again, they are young. Robbie thought that she was trying to break up with him. And it's like, look, let's not worry about our relationship right now. We're talking about Tori. Let's just focus on this tournament. What are we breaking up? No, we're just taking a break right now. For some reason, he thinks that she's dating Quan because of one little peripheral view that he got out the side of his eye. And she is under the impression that he is with Zara. Now, of course, she has a justified reason to thinking that because this dude walked out of her hotel room in the morning and saw them kissing. That's just so silly. Who does that? Okay, just let them leave in the middle of the night or whatever, or open the door. I'm not trying to walk them out. I just met this chick just a few hours ago. We not finna be hugging and kissing and smooching and booty rubbing and all that in the hallway. So they just setting it up for, drama. Even at the very beginning of episode 6, where Tori was in the aquarium And then Robbie came down there and they was talking, having their initial conversation. But then Sam came up and just stood there, just random. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what are they doing? I love it though. I love it. I'm not complaining, but this is just some of the corny stuff, that I am talking about. Now, and I'm talking about out of the corniness, they did have some great moments between the characters, their banter, them making up and just trying to get along. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. One of them I'll just talk about right now real quick. And that was Miss Kim and Tori towards the end of episode 4 or 5, when it was like, man, is it worth it? Just the discipline and winning no matter what. She's like, yes, if you want to win everything, discipline is necessary and hard work and sweat and blood. And like, I really do like that conversation right there between them, because they both had to struggle, in my opinion, even though we didn't get to see that much from Kim as far as struggling. I'm just assuming we saw her as a little girl in season 6, part 1. But I just feel like those two have a lot in common. And so that was just a really nice interaction right there. Also, the interaction between Eli, Hawk, and Dimitri, which I talked about as well. But when Robbie and Tori did make up after they won the competition, like where Miyagi-Do won the competition, but Cobra Kai lost before they was brought back into the fold. Those are just 3 moments right there that really work for me as far as positive is concerned. Just, take away all the fighting, take away all the corniness and all of that, but just some drama and character development between the characters. Those are 3 just shine out moments. And one in particular where I wasn't liking the characters, Eli, Hawk, and Dimitri, that brought my likeness of those characters up a few notches for me. So I just wanted to share that with you real quick. But again, going back, when Robbie and Tori were making up, it was during the middle of the fight. And I'm just like, this is just so silly or whatever. In episode 5, I did like it, but it's just silly. Quan was teasing them, talking about lovers quarrel. The dude is just a bully. I can't get mad at him for kicking their butt at the very beginning of episode 6 in the kicking competition, where they had to put the chalk on their feet and kick above the line and all that. That was funny. Robbie thought he was going to win, but he lost, and they made them lose the rooms. And Demetrius up here farting in his sleep and all that stuff. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But, I do like that. Quan is a nice villain. He's a nice antagonist. He's hilarious to me. He's a bully, but, he's tough. For the most part, he's backing up his words with his action. And so shout out to Quan. I do like him. Hopefully the guy is still alive, okay, because I do like him. I didn't necessarily feel this way when I got done watching season 6, part 1. But after watching season 6, part 2, which we're talking about right now, I really want to start over with the whole series, go all the way back to the very beginning, the first Karate Kid that came out in the 80s, and watch 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then watch the Karate Kid that came out in 2010 with Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan, because we now know that that's part of this universe as well, because the next Karate Kid movie is going to have Daniel LaRusso and Jackie Chan's character. Then also start over with Cobra Kai and start it from the beginning. And I'm loving the show. I don't want them to stop. I want them to keep it going. And it seems like they're going to do that, not only with the new Karate Kid movie that's linking all this together, but a prequel series. Something that Ralph Macchio, Daniel LaRusso, the main titular character that started this whole thing, I love what they're going with this story of him investigating the backstory of Mr. Miyagi, his teacher, the guy that founded Miyagi-Do. At the very beginning of part 2, season 6, he finds the box that was in the floor, pulls out the headband, and realizes that Mr. Miyagi fought in the Saikai Taikai as well. Not only because when they were giving the headbands to all of the students, to the finalists at the end of part 1, right before he gave it to Sam, he was like, wait a minute, let me go look at this box. And he saw that it's the same, oh my gosh, Mr. Miyagi competed in the Saikai Taikai. This is crazy. So he's at the Saikai Taikai. He asked Gunther about it, like, yes, this is authentic. Where did you get it? And that sent him on a wild goose chase. And it ended up making him get kidnapped. And that really did suck, because this dude is locked in a cage. He got dogs and stuff. That's just crazy. And I don't blame him. At the same time, Daniel LaRusso is getting on my nerve just a little bit, because he's making Mr. Miyagi just like all holier than thou, just like, oh my gosh, you were so perfect. What's wrong? Why didn't you tell me this? I understand that Mr. Miyagi was somewhat of a father figure to Daniel. And so that makes sense. But at the same time, it's still just a bit annoying. It's like, okay, this man has a past that you did not know about. You are a father, sir. You're right now, at least in your upper 40s, lower 50s, raising these kids. You know yourself that children always do not know, the backstory or the origin story of their parents, parents are always hiding stuff from their kids or grandkids. This is no different, and y'all are not biological anyway. Again, I don't blame him for being shocked and wanting to know the truth, but at the same time, it just was a bit annoying, just a bit. I also like the fact that the way they keep on bringing people back. The long hair ponytail guy that had the Cobra Kai, I think it had to be a fake tattoo because he was led by Silva, but Silva was part of Cobra Kai back in the day as well. But maybe it was a legitimate tattoo. But Daniel LaRusso had to fight his way out of there. And I liked it. The fighting between the adults never disappoints. Never at all. I'm just loving it. I'm loving it. But we find out, we think that Kreese is behind this, but we find out that Terry Silva is back. He is back. He was back. First of all, Kreese was able to sneak out of the prison by faking his death with jelly on his shirt. And now Silva was able to escape out of jail. The charges was dropped because they just didn't believe the Stingray. And now this dude done hired Sensei Wolf over here that was stealing the steaks from Johnny, and Johnny finna whoop him up some steaks like, hey man, I just wanna make Cobra Kai feel bad. I got these offshore accounts. Let me buy your dojo. I'll give you the money. I'll get you out of debt. You can be the owner again. Just make them look bad. And the Iron Dragons are serious, or not at the very beginning. At the end of episode 6, they had all 6 of their fighters versus 3 of Cobra Kai. They had 4 people kneel, and we're like, you know what? This is lightweight, okay? We just gonna eliminate 4 people and whoop your ass. And Iron Dragon's been kicking ass this whole series, even in the finale. We'll save the brawl. We'll save the brawl. But we get to meet Mr. Wolf for her first time we meet him again. It was between Johnny Lawrence at the function of the mixer when he took the steaks, and Johnny be getting on my nerves sometime too. I mean, I love all these characters, but it's like, bro, do you not know how to stay calm and not escalate a situation? De-escalation, sir. Okay, they're gonna bring more steaks out. It's not that serious. Okay, you one at a time. This is a grown-ass man. This is a grown-ass man. How you gonna tell him that he can't take all those steaks? Just ask them to bring some more out. And if they can't, okay, it's you're not gonna get any steaks. But I am liking this Iron Dragon guy. That he's very, very serious, and so as his fighters. I do like that they are teaming up together, Terry Silva and the Iron Dragon, Mr. Sensei Wolf. Sensei Wolf can kick. The Iron Dragons are raw. They nice. I'm loving them. I'm loving them. I'm loving them. But I jumped too far ahead. Me saying that I'm wanting this series to continue, I think they're doing that. And where Daniel LaRusso is just feeling all types of hurt and pain with investigating where Mr. Miyagi came from, at the very end, Terry Silva gives him the official results from one of the tournaments, the Sakataka from like the 40s or 50s, and they see that Mr. Miyagi actually killed somebody. Now, Gunther, the announcer, and I want to see him fight too, the one that got knocked out by the Russian guy, and then he knocked him out in the final episode, episode 10. I want to see him fight. He obviously works out. He's supposed to say, I bet he can kick ass too. He was saying like, yeah, it was a different time back in the day. The Sakai Takai, was very violent, and so just a different time. And so we are going to get an origin story for Mr. Miyagi, and I cannot wait to see it. And I have this right here from the Hollywood Reporter. It says, the Cobra Kai bosses want to give Mr. Miyagi his prequel story. Now, I did cover this on my channel on one of my Movie News Roundup segments a number of months ago. This article did come out July 31st of 2024. They get into this, the 3 creators, who are Josh Held, John Hurwitz, and Hayden Schlossberg. They're doing a very good job, in my opinion. But that simply meant more thrills to come, according to Cobra Kai's creators. The Hollywood Reporter recently caught up to talk about the show coming up in this final season, and they share what their creative vision is. And this successful series runs as a contemplate branching even further from the original tree that sparked off everything, the 1984 hit movie The Karate Kid, and a possible Mr. Miyagi prequel. It's been 40 years since the original movie The Karate Kid premiered in movie theaters. Why has that foundational story of Daniel LaRusso, Johnny Lawrence, and of course Mr. Miyagi transferred and resonated with so many great generations through the Cobra Kai series? Of course, this is the whole conversation, guys. I'm not going to read the whole thing now, but I will have a link to this in the description box below. But it looks like we are getting a prequel series of Mr. Miyagi, and that's just very evident with everything that we got in this part 2 of season 6. And I really do like the beginning of episode 10 as well, where it is showing Daniel LaRusso having a nightmare. And it's showing a fight of him and Mr. Miyagi in the Sakatakai decades ago. And if that's the real life person that is going to be playing Mr. Miyagi in the prequel series, I'm here for it. That looks badass, amazing. I love the fighting. I love the choreography. It's dope as hell. I am here for it. Now, something that I did not like in this part 2 of season 6 was the way that they brought Chosen in. I understand that he's hurt with Kamiko, but him coming in episode 6, just being all drunk, acting belligerent, going around smashing stuff, sticking his hand in the food. Oh, golly. It's just, okay, that doesn't make any sense because, well, no, it does make, what I was going to say is like he got drunk in Japan, but, you know, he could have got drunk on the flight here. But I'm just not liking it. He's like, I bought her a flower and she showed, you know, we don't know. Okay, Kamiko, actually, I like the drama. I just don't like the execution because, for one, he did hook up with Kim, and I do like their relationship. I hope that they flourish in some way, even if it's just a temporary one-off thing, one-night stand. You know, that's fine. But if they actually develop a relationship later on in the future, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. But when Chosen was grieving about Kamiko, first of all, he may have shown up to the wrong house. Kamiko could have moved out and somebody else moved in or something like that. We don't know. We don't know. But the way that he was acting, just drunk and just falling all over the place, I just didn't, it was annoying to me. I didn't like it. It just like, stop it. But I do like Miss Kim, and hopefully they are able to make it up. When Miss Kim, Daniel LaRusso, and Chosen and Kreese confronted Sensei Wolf, the long-haired Cobra Kai tattoo guy, and Terry Silver, when Kim walked off, she gave Chosen a look. And I don't know if y'all noticed, but Daniel LaRusso noticed that as well. I'm like, what was that? He was like, it's nothing or whatever. So he may pick up on it as well. I don't know. Now I want to talk about Miguel and Robbie for a little bit, because at the end of part 1, episode 5, of course, Robbie did win the captain's chair, but Robbie has been getting his butt kicked this whole tournament. Seriously. And Miguel has been coming through with the strong arm representing. I do not blame Miguel for like, hey, bro, you giving me a hard time. You won, but you're not showing up as a leader. You're not showing up as the captain. If you're not going to win these matches, give it to me. Now, Robbie did clap back and was like, well, hey, bro, I did win it fair and square. But at the same time, you losing. I like the fact that they were able to make it up. But Robbie was distracted from Tori this whole time, getting kicked off the platforms, getting punched here, kicked there, all over the place. But Miguel has been showing up and showing out this whole tournament. So shout out to him. I commend him for still letting Robbie lead, but I think that Robbie should have gave him the captain's chair, because just Robbie hasn't been showing up. I mean, Robbie showed up for Quan at the very end of part 6, but that was just at the end. Robbie was the one that was putting them in these losing situations, about to be eliminated left and right, here and there, you know. So again, Miguel has been coming through with the strong arm, and I do like their relationship and how they was able to make it up again. And like they, I mean, again, they are children, but you know, they are trying to put this behind them and be mature and win. So I got to give it to them, especially their age. I also do like the fact that the way that Miguel handled the situation, where Sam told him like, hey, Axel over there, you know, because Miguel was like, bro, what is this guy's problem? Why he keep staring at us? And dude was over there just staring like this just the whole time. It's like, man, your social skills are down the toilet. Like, you got caught staring and you still staring? But, you know, they was on the beach walking, Axel and Sam, and he got in his feelings, tried to kiss her. She shut it down. I like the way that Sam communicated to Miguel, the way that she shut it down. And I like the way that Miguel didn't blow up like, what? Let me go whoop his ass or whatever. He was like, okay, it was somewhat innocent. You know, he didn't know. My baby shut it down. He's still staring at us over there like Terminator. This guy's weird. But Axel can fight, though. He was not bowing down. At the very end, before the brawl, when he was fighting against Robbie, like, he was throwing him around, blocking, offensive, just point, just you know, breaking him down. None of that unnecessary movement stuff. Now, I do like the choreography of this show for the most part. It is great. But at the same time, when they be doing all these aerial flips and backflips and acrobatics, I'll be like, oh my goodness gracious, this is crazy. You know, it's just not necessary. Now, I'm not saying that flipping and all of that is not realistic in a fight. Yes, it can be utilized and can be practical, but I'm just saying in this sense, sometimes they go overboard with it, but I still love it. It's still fun, and they be getting me with all the slow-mo too. But yeah, Axel can fight. Zara can fight as well. She's got all the sponsors. She is showing up on TikTok and Instagram like, yeah, baby, yeah, baby, yeah. And, that's just, that's kind of funny to me as well. I like the little dynamic between Tori and Zara as well. Funny, I'm liking all that. But I got to talk about Sam. I love Sam much more than Tori. And it's just not because of their characters. No, that's a lie. It is because of the characters, but also because of Sam's fighting. Sam is always intense with her fighting, whether she's punching, blocking, evading, giving a sound effect, breathing out, showing the intensity in her face. It just always seems authentic, like some of the best. And I said it earlier, the same thing with Kenny. The brawl at the end, they had a wide shot of him doing like a side kick to the right, a side kick to the left, and then like a front kick where he left it thrust out of the, and held it. And he stuck him too. And then he was like, Devin, he had kicked somebody. I was like, come on, Devin. And he ran upstairs and they kept fighting. That was dope. I enjoyed that as well. And Kenny has grown up. It is a huge difference between Kenny in season 5 and season 6. Yes, he went through puberty. We all go through that as men, but it's just like, damn, like he was like a huge difference, man. Shout out to Kenny. I like Kenny. Kenny's cool. I like Kenny. What is his real name? Dallas Dupree Young. His name in the show is Kenny Young, and I am a fan of this young guy right here. Born in Houston, Texas, okay? How old is he? He is 18 years old. 18 years old. Is my math correct? Am I doing that right? Let's bring up a calculator real quick and have some fun. We got 2024 minus 2006. Yeah, he's 18 years old. I can do math. Okay. But yeah, man, I'm gonna look after your career. You are a favorite of mine. Let me see what you got coming out next. Okay, Cobra Kai. That's it. All right. Well, hopefully, you have a great career, ahead of you, my guy, because I like you. Keep up the great work. Keep up the great work. And it sucks what happened to him. He crapped his pants, and it was funny, man. Mrs. LaRusso was making her son Anthony go over and apologize to him, even though he didn't do it and had nothing to do with it. And they were fighting on the porch. That was funny too. I like that. But they were able to make bygones be bygones, and so that's cool too. So I like Anthony as well. I haven't talked about Johnny Lawrence much. He is really always undermining Daniel LaRusso and his Miyagi Do. But at the same time, they just have different philosophies. He did step up to the plate where Daniel was kidnapped and nowhere to be found, and so he had to come through and save the day as the sensei. They was losing at first, but then they came through and he was able to help them qualify to the second round. Was like, hey, I know I was talking about attack this, attack that. He was yelling at them in the back in the locker room, but they was all like, screw you, guy. It's your fault. Stop undermining my dad and being disrespectful. That's what Sam was saying. But he came back and was like, hey, I'm pretty sure if your dad was here, he would have did great. Miyagi Do is the way to go. You guys defend. And they ended up, qualifying themselves to go to the next round. So that was cool too. So, but he was undermining him a lot, but came through, saved the day. So he was a pretty good sensei as well. I also just like when all the senseis are off to the side, just conversing, trying to work things out, whether it's Chosen, Daniel, or Johnny. I just like all three adults, coming together like that. That's cool too. But I got to talk about more of this fighting, man. One of my favorite scenes was, I think, it was the semifinals or right before, no, it wasn't the semifinals. It was right before that, maybe round 2, where all of the fighters were surrounding the mat. And it was 3 rounds of 2 minutes each, to where each fighter, one-on-one, but you can just tag people in back and forth. That was nice. I really did enjoy that. That was very, very enjoyable, especially when Dimitri did not want Kenny to be tagged in. But that whole dynamic, that whole fight right there was dope as hell. At one point, they just kept tagging people in, tag them in, coach, and they couldn't be stopped. They defeated Cobra Kai that way. And I really did like that. That was very nice. That was intense. I didn't really, no, that was my favorite. The platform fights was my least favorite. But then when we get to the semifinals right here, man, this brawl was crazy. You got to see everybody, anybody that had drama in this show was able to fight. Even, let's just talk about the adults right here. Towards the end, you had Kreese versus Terry Silver versus Kreese, but then Johnny Lawrence came through and whooped up on Terry Silver just a little bit. But then at one point, you had Sensei Wolf versus Johnny Lawrence versus Sensei Wolf. But then you had Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso versus Sensei Wolf, and Sensei Wolf whooped up on both of them. He whooped both of their asses. That was nice. But even before that, you had round 2 of Daniel LaRusso and then the Cobra Kai tattoo guy that was in charge of kidnapping him. So that was dope as hell. You had Tori versus Zara, Zara versus Tori. You had multiple fights of Axel versus either Quan or Axel versus Robbie. You also had Kim versus the Russian team that started this whole mess, but then Chosen came in to save the day, so they're like a new couple and was able to, you know, fight them down. That was nice. Love that too. Everybody was fighting everybody. Like it was too much. Like even if we did not get this brawl, I would have already been satisfied with the fighting. This was like 15 minutes of just chaos, of mayhem. And the whole thing was televised worldwide. And about that, when this part 2 started off, I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm enjoying myself, but I'm just not really feeling the world scale, the world stage. And that's because it wasn't televised at first. They only started televising it when it was in the semifinals. But it was crazy. Even when Quan fell down and his face was right by the camera, right before he grabbed a knife, he was like, ah! It was like, I was scared. Like, this is nuts. This is crazy. Can you imagine? And guys, I didn't even say this. Another reason why I'm enjoying this show is, like, I did martial arts. I did some Taekwondo, you know, when I was a younger child, elementary, junior high, all that stuff. And I got pretty far off, and I love this stuff. I love this show because I would love to compete like these kids are competing. I've never, competed on a world stage like this or for the All Valley or anything like that. Yeah, I mean, I did some karate tournaments here and there, but it wasn't to this level, this degree. So this show is like fulfilling a fantasy. For me, you know what I'm saying? I'm like living through the show. So when all this going on, all this chaos and mayhem at the end, I was like, man, that would be a lot of fun, but like, this is dangerous. Like when they were showing the camera footage and everybody's reaction at home, like at the LaRusso's crib, showing Amanda, Mrs. LaRusso's face, she was like really scared, really in a panic. Everybody standing up, they putting their pizza down. I forgot their names, but the white boy and the Asian boy, he was like, oh my gosh, I knew that we should have snuck into the luggage and went over to the tournament. He's like, yeah, because we have so much experience with brawls. I was laughing my butt off, but at the edge of my seat, like, how is this gonna end? We have 5 episodes left. Is this the tournament? Is this the final round? Like, who, like, this is crazy, man. This was fantastic, man. It was so many alliances made in this final brawl right here, and like it took, like they were beating up the referees and the officials, and again, the whole thing is televised. People are going to jail. People are going to be fined. This is insane. And then we have more to come with the Mr. Miyagi prequel. Y'all, this is fantastic, man. I'm loving the show. I cannot wait for season 6, part 3. I'm gonna cover the hell out of this show, y'all. If I forgot to bring up something, just please let me know down in the comment section below. Also, let me know if I should go live, like later on this weekend, and talk about this more and engage with you guys. But this was great, y'all. Subscribe to the channel if you like this video and you also a Cobra Kai fan. If you wanna see me cover more of Cobra Kai, if you just want me to grow, if you want to see more videos, just hit the subscribe button, share the video, leave a comment, all that good stuff, y'all. But I had fun watching this. I had fun covering it. But this is my recap review reaction for Cobra Kai Season 6, Part 2. It is going down. I mean, I loved it, guys. Subscribe to my channel again. I got all types of stuff over here. Live shows. I got a backup channel as well. Yeah, just subscribe. But guys, again, I just want to thank y'all so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery. That's just my opinion. Peace out, and I'll see you next time.